Hello friends, so today we are going to be graphing using slope-intercept form. You may have heard this before and you may not have, but either way, here we go. We have some vocabulary to begin with. First off, we have y-intercept. So y-intercept is the point on a graph where the line intersects the y-axis. So if I have a graph, right? I have my x-axis and I have my y-axis. So this vertical line right here is our y-axis. So if I have a line that is on my axis or on my graph that goes right here, the point on that line where it touches or crosses the y-axis right there is the y-intercept. Slope-intercept form is this right here. You're going to hear me say that quite a bit. Y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So you remember how we just said that that point right there is your y-intercept. So that would be x is 0 and y is whatever number that is. We're going to call it 3. So the point 0, 3, the y-intercept would be a positive 3. Now remember that slope, which is m is pretty much always the slope, is your rise over your run. We also found it by going y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Hopefully that is making sense, and you've heard that before. But let's check. So here I've rewritten y equals mx plus b. So remember, m is our slope, and b is our y-intercept. So the first thing we're going to do is find the slope and the y-intercept in y equals 1/3 x minus 2. So our slope is right here, this 1/3, because that's where the m is in y equals mx plus b. And our y-intercept is this -2. Now, you might ask, why is it negative? Well, do you see how it's positive here? So if I were adding, how do I make it minus? Well, I would have to have a negative number. So my slope is 1/3 and my intercept is -2. So when we graph that, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to graph your y-intercept. Remember, that's where on the y line does your line cross. So it crosses at the point 0, -2. That's your y-intercept. It has a slope of 1/3. So we're going to go rise 1, run 3. So rise 1, run 1, 2, 3. And we end up at 3, -1. Rise 1, run 1, 2, 3, and we end up at 6, 0. So now we have 3 points. We can draw our line. So we draw our line through the points, putting an arrow on each end. This line represents the function y equals 1/3 x minus 2. So let's look at another one. Graph y equals -1/2 x plus 4. So let's figure out what the slope and the y-intercept are. The slope is that m value, the coefficient of x, and that is our -1/2. The y-intercept, where it crosses the y-axis, this time it's positive because that plus stays a plus. So it's a positive 4. So we would start off marking our y-intercept on the y-axis, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our first point. We're going to drop 1 to the right 2, drop 1, 1, 2. Here's our next point. Drop 1, run 2. Notice all of these are on the line. So this line represents y equals negative 1/2 x plus 4. So now let's look at what you're going to do. In your pre-algebra tab in your module, under Wednesday, it says Unit 4 Vocabulary. Some of you went ahead and started that. Some of you didn't. I'm actually going to have you go ahead and do page 241 in your workbook. You can work in your small groups, but make sure you are staying in your new assigned seats. If for some reason you cannot find your workbook, click on that and you will see that the PDF is right here. You can click right there and it will open it for you. You can do that work in your notebook. As you can tell, you're going to be graphing a whole bunch of lines. So let's go ahead and zoom in and figure out what we're going to do. So we have to think y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. And we know that the m is our slope, our rise over our run, and the b is our y-intercept. Where does it cross the y-axis? So y equals m, there's our slope, x plus b. Do you notice how this is negative? So that means our y-intercept is negative 5. We're going to drop to negative 5, put our point. Then we're going to use our slope. Our slope was rise 3, run 2. So count up 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and run 1, 2. There's our next point. 1, 2, 3, rise. 1, 2. There's our next point. And then we have our line that we put our arrows on either end. Continue doing all of the questions on this page, just the front of the page. When you're finished, submit it through Canvas. You are not allowed to have your phones out today because I am not there. So you will need to submit either later tonight on your phone, or you can submit through your computer. I hope this makes sense. If it doesn't, I'll be back. You can ask me questions or you can rewatch this video. Have a great day.